Hello, my fellow Americans and international friends, and welcome back into the Cal Report. Today is September 25th, 2025. So, we're going to take you back to this past Tuesday's Orange County Board of Supervisors meeting to item 34, where there was a continued push to get any non humans off the voter rolls. And indeed, it was my first time ever giving a public comment at any meeting, so you'll get to see that as well as a lot more. Enjoy.
Good morning, Board. James Wallace, been a resident here my entire life. I live in District 2. I have multiple concerns about the voting here in Orange County. It's a very serious matter, and I just want to thank Supervisor Nguyen for bringing this forward. I saw her last week and thanked her for continuing to push this, as well as Supervisor Wagner. At least we know we got two people on this board that have common sense. The fact of the matter is we don't know how many dogs and cats are on the voter rolls, or other animals, for that matter. So for this particular item, it's only common sense to, cross-reference the Orange County Pet License database to identify any pets registered to vote, for the ones on the rolls that are suspected of being a pet name, Spot, Fifi, Rover, Lucky, Sparky. Good place to start. Just want to add that, the way the three of you voted on this agenda item last time was an embarrassment for our county. And I got people coming up to me going, why don't I just register my dog to vote or my cat to vote? I mean, it's just a disgrace. So in order to restore trust in the public, get your act together and do the right thing. Thank you.
First of all, I request this board put on the agenda an item for the Voters' Choice Act for our next meeting. We are tired and sick of this board, and I'm calling out Supervisor Foley, Supervisor Chafee, and Supervisor Sarmiento. You are all three vergognosi. When you use the word vergogna in Italy, it goes deeper than shameful.
The reason now I'm a delegate for the California Republican Party is because you guys aren't doing your job. I wouldn't have to be in Constitution class and learn the true laws of this state and country if you guys were doing what you were elected to do. Okay, so Dawn and Janet, decided to put something on the agenda. Great. Okay, fine. You know why we're in the situation we are in here with dogs and cats and bugs voting? And what's next? Is because for 2 years, on and off, I've been coming here along with a lot of these fine people, and you refused to put on the agenda to remove the Dominion voting machines. You refused to help us get rid of the Voter Choice Act. You are not doing what you were elected to do.
But, and so under federal law, if you do not provide proof of identity and residence, you cannot successfully vote in a federal election. So, but that doesn't mean that we don't keep you on the roll. But you can't vote in a federal election. The state law only requires that you sign an affidavit under penalty of perjury. It does not require proof of identity.
Okay. Well, all right. So did the dog provide a driver's license, an identification, a social security number, some sort of identifying information? The answer is no, right?
I want to be careful about talking about the details of an ongoing prosecution publicly, because I don't want to in any way jeopardize the successful prosecution of the defendant in this case.
I think she's pleaded guilty.
Well,
so did the dog provide a driver's license or an identification or social security number? And I think the answer would be no, which is why it got to vote in the recall, right?
According to the press release issued by the district attorney, the fictitious registration for Maya did not provide proof of identity, which then, as was reported by the district attorney, led to the ballot cast in the 22 primary election being rejected by the Registrar of Voters office. But as I mentioned, because state law doesn't require proof of identity, the district attorney alleges that the ballot was cast in the 21 recall election and that ballot was counted.
And so we had a peculiarly, specifically California election, the recall election.
Correct.
The dog got to vote. Now, we are coming up on a peculiarly California special election to gerrymander the state. Would a dog be allowed to register, or would I be allowed to register my dog Spot without a driver's license, ID number, social security number for the coming election?
For the coming election, we have just over 2,600 voters on the roll who have not yet provided proof of identity or residency, who will receive a ballot, and under state law, if they cast that ballot, it will not be rejected for the reason of not providing an identity.
So it could be a dog. It could be Spot Wagner. It could be, right?
I'm saying these are people who have not provided proof of identity.
Right. How would you go about finding a Spot Wagner or a Fido Chafee or a what? How would you go about finding those on the rolls?
Well, as I mentioned, we are going to continue to try to access more animal license data from cities to compare to the voter rolls. The other thing that we can do and that we're working on right now is those voters, just over 2,600, which actually equates to about 0.1% of all of our voters. At the time they register, when they don't provide proof of identity, we send them notification requesting that. And then if they do try to vote in an election, we challenge that ballot and then send them another notification. We are planning before this next election to send an additional new notification to those 2,600 voters to ask them to provide proof of identity. Even though it's not required for this election, we're still going to ask for it because they're still in that status. Mm-hmm. And it's our intent also to give them the opportunity to fill out a cancellation form if they don't wish to continue to be registered to vote. But they actually have to sign that form to be canceled.
Okay, I'll assume for purposes of today's discussion that all 2,600 of those are human beings. What are you going to do to find out how many of them are in fact citizens of this nation or residents of this state or county or city where they're trying to vote?
Well, to the first question about citizenship, they all ended up on the roll because they attested by checking a box and signing a registration form that they were citizens of the United States.
Did the dog do that? Did the owner of the dog do that?
All registrations on our voter roll, the registration form checked the box if they were citizens.
Okay, and the 17 that were being sued by the Department of Justice, they also checked that box?
Correct, but they've been canceled since.
Anything else that you would do, since they're supposed to self-attest? What else would you do to check that those 2,600 are humans, which we'll assume, but also otherwise entitled to vote?
According to state law, they attest that they are eligible, and under state law, I have to accept, regarding citizenship, I'm required under state law to accept that attestation as proof of citizenship for the purpose of voting. There's nothing in state law or federal law that requires a person to provide proof or documentation of citizenship.
If I show up to a vote center and I said I'm Janet when I really am not, how would you verify that?
So state law requires each voter, when they show up to a vote center or polling place for those counties that still operate a traditional polling place election, are required to verbally state their name and their address. And then the poll worker or our vote center employees require them to look up that information on the roster. The voters presented the information from the roster along with a message about the penalties of impersonating somebody and voting in somebody else's name, and they sign the roster. But there is no process in state law to confirm that what they're telling us is accurate.
So that's only if it's the former system, the polling center.
No, that's also vote centers.
With the vote center too?
Yeah, it's still the requirement. When you show up at a vote center, you're required to verbally state your name and your address, and you get looked up in the roster. Our rosters now, because we use electronic poll books, we can see every voter in the county. Mm-hmm. It's not just under the old model where you had, before poll books, you had a paper roster that was specific to the precincts or precinct that was assigned to that specific polling place. Now we have an electronic roster that has every voter in the county on it.
So they just need to attest that they
Yeah,
are.
they're verbally have to state their name and their address, and they have to sign and test that they are that person with a warning about what the penalties are about impersonating somebody else to vote. And then they are given a ballot.
All right. Certainly I will accept those. So as I understand it, it is items, recommended actions 1 through 4, striking the word suspected in item 2. In addition, we will send letters to those voters as identified by Mr. Page, letters to the non-contract cities with respect to their animal rolls, and additionally continue communication with the district attorney's office. That is the motion.
And the second concurs, assuming that the letters would also include the cancellation form.
That is my intent.
Okay, that's the motion.
I thought I seconded, but.
I heard 2 seconds. I don't know who read it.
Okay, as the author, oh, that's fine. Okay.
Okay.
That works.
All right, I'm going to ask the clerk to do a roll call on this one.
Supervisor Wagner? Vice Chair Foley?
Aye.
Supervisor Wynn? Supervisor Sarmiento? And Chair Chafee?
I abstain. Motion carries.
That's it for today. Really appreciate you guys watching my video. As always, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, or please subscribe to the channel. Always appreciate it, guys. That's what's going on in California. God bless, take care, and I'll see you all next time.